I've got, like I said, Clemson going undefeated, winning the ACC. Penn State finishing the 2 seed, winning the Big Ten, going 12-1. Couple really cool. We get Michigan is going to host Ohio State in back-to-back weeks. First in the regular season. Well, I guess not back-to-back weeks. Alternate. So they'll go in the regular season and then start the playoffs. So it's 2 weeks in between, technically.
Ohio State's going to host, though, right? They're the 8.
Oh, you're right. I'm looking at it upside down. So that's even better.
It's almost
Michigan,
a month and a half between games, too.
Is it really? From the last week of regular season?
It's basically a month.
Yeah, about a month.
Thanksgiving to post-Christmas.
I forgot that the playoffs start, like, late, and then we go all the way to, like, the 20th of January or something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let me start that over then and say Michigan will host Ohio State to end the regular season, and then Ohio State, with my prediction, will turn around and host Michigan to start the playoffs. We also get Oregon getting 2 Big Ten rematches. In the first round, they play Nebraska. They host Nebraska, and then in the second round, they play Penn State. Penn State wins the Oregon game for the second time. Notre Dame is the 6th seed. I have them losing to Arizona State because I'm going to keep Sam Leavitt, the guy who threw for 300-something yards and 4 touchdowns in a high school game, as we heard from B earlier. And then I have Penn State, Clemson, the championship. That's a really exciting matchup. Two veteran quarterbacks on 2 very talented rosters with 2 very good head coaches duking it out. I've got Penn State winning it, and James Franklin finally getting the thing he needs to say that he can win big games, which if they go 12-1 this year, he will win some of those big games that people say he can't. So
they still may not say it because similarly it was said about Ryan Day last year. And they had to go on and win the national championship for that to not be said anymore. So,
yeah.
Yep. There's always a bigger game to win.
The Nebraska one, I shout out Brandon Walker.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. If
you look at their schedule, they should go 10-2. And so I have a 10-2 Nebraska getting into the playoffs. They're challenging games. I believe it's 2 conference
at Penn
games.
State, hosting Michigan, hosting USC would be their 3 toughest games.
And I would have them losing to Michigan and beating USC.
You have them winning at Penn State?
No, losing that one too. So I've got them going 10-2. Losing to Penn State, losing to Michigan.
Heard.
Fair enough.
So they'll be one of those, and I think we'll get to it later. I think they're my team that shouldn't make it but will. They're not a top 12 team, but I think they could be an Indiana situation where Indiana it took being 11-1. I think Nebraska can do it at 10-2.
Okay. But without further ado, Jack is ready to reveal his top 25. No.
Nope.
My
his
playoff bracket.
Yep.
Jack, take it away.
Yeah, so, Clemson's my 1 seed because I think they just have a schedule that sets up very well for them to be able to either go 13-0 or 12-1, something like that, and take that top seed. Alabama have them winning the SEC, so they're a high seed. Ohio State have them winning the Big Ten, so they end up as a top 4 seed. And I think Penn State's going to be really good as well, so they end up with the other top 4 seed. Surprises of the bracket, TCU makes it. That's not something you're going to see very often. And not just TCU, but 2 Big 12 teams, I think, is something not very many people are going to have.
Yeah,
but I think both are going to have really good seasons and make it. So while TCU wins the Big 12, in my opinion, Arizona State is either going to have 1 loss or 2 losses, and they're going to make it in as well and look to make some noise. So I'd say that's probably the biggest surprise in my bracket. Nothing else is really too shocking. I have Alabama winning it all. And not only that, we get a kind of classic matchup in the finals at this point. Alabama-Clemson, throwback to the late 2010s or the mid to late 2010s matchups. I think that could be a ton of fun. But I just love Ty Simpson. I love that Alabama defense. I've been hyping them up so much. I hope I can hype them up during the regular season and they don't let me down. But I think they can go on a run and win multiple playoff games, win the whole thing, knock off Clemson, and Kalen DeBoer can kind of silence some early doubters about his tenure at Alabama and kind of uphold and keep going what Nick Saban built there. So that's kind of my playoffs. Nothing crazy. Any questions about it?
You've got some fire matchups. So we get TCU Georgia, which that's exciting. We get to see a rematch of that championship game from 2021.
Sure.
Or 22. Cincinnati was 21. That's exciting. Clemson, Georgia, a rematch from last year's season opener where Clemson got hosed. And you've got Clemson winning that game. That's going to be an exciting matchup. Miami in the playoffs is a 6 seed is cool. You got them, I guess, going like 11-2 or
I think they're gonna go 11-1 in the regular season,
and then lose ACC
and then lose the
championship.
ACC
So
championship.
11-2. Okay.
They'll lose to Florida in the regular season is my prediction.
All right, cool. LSU Texas, an SEC matchup. It does set up Ohio State Alabama, and then I love Alabama Clemson in the championship game. It just like it looks good. Like it makes me feel like we're in like 2015, 2016, 2017 again, which is I miss those years of college football. So that's I like how this bracket shapes up. And you did say earlier that it's kind of like top heavy in that you picked a lot of the heavy hitters of college football this year, and I feel like I did too.
I mean, they're the heavy hitters for a reason.
True. But there are some really fun matchups and storied games that we would have if this bracket panned out. Thoughts, JP?
Yeah, so LSU's 9-3, I assume.
Yeah. They get the nod.
What is the argument for TCU being ranked higher than Georgia?
Because I think TCU's only going to have lost one game, and they're going to have won their conference.
Okay.
So that's my thought process there.
And then Arizona State will also have lost. Will it be like Arizona State and does Arizona State go undefeated in the regular season and then lose the conference championship?
Arizona State will have 2 losses, but I think they'll have picked up enough good wins that it won't matter. They'll still be in because also we've seen.
I mean, you
the
have
committee
them being 11-2.
Yeah, the committee doesn't really knock a team too much for losing a conference championship game.
Yeah. So they could go 11-1 into the championship. That's fair.
I'm not gonna say this is very likely. Like, I mean, so many scenarios would have to break right for the Big 12 to get 2 teams in. Those teams would have to survive the chaos we've known the Big 12 to be. But I felt like going for it. So
4 SEC teams: Georgia, Texas, LSU, Alabama.
They get the highest.
I think I only had 3.
Tenure.
I think I had 3 and like 5 Big Ten teams or something. I had a lot.
The
of
Big Ten is typically very highly represented. I think the Illinois, the Indianas will take too many losses and beat each other up, and even some of those teams they don't have very many opportunities to pick up big wins, if that makes sense. So like, I have them losing their couple chances to pick up big wins, and then with that on the table, I think LSU at 9-3 is gonna have a way better resume. So I have them getting in.
Indiana, I was actually hoping to talk about that. Do you have Indiana in your playoffs, JP?
Absolutely not.
Okay, just double checking. In that case, I'll talk about them real quick and just say I don't see Indiana getting in again. I see them finishing with 2 losses, and I don't see them having the win they need to overcome those 2 losses. So I see them finishing as a 2-loss team outside of the playoff. Start making your picks. You want to start in the top left, Alabama, Kansas State?
Yeah, sure. Alabama, Kansas State. I'm taking the Crimson Tide to win that in Tuscaloosa. That's not really a hard pick to make. Last year, all 4 teams that hosted in the first round won. And then all 4 teams that had a first-round bye lost. I don't expect that to happen again this year, but that's a tidbit about last year's playoff. I think one road team is going to win this year, and I'll make that pick here in a second. But I think the home field advantage is such a huge advantage, especially in the postseason. And we saw that last year with the cold weather as well, like Notre Dame, even hosting Indiana, who is a cold weather team.
Ohio State hosting Tennessee.
More specifically, Ohio State hosting Tennessee and Penn State hosting SMU. Those are huge advantages. And so the Big Ten teams that can get there to the 5, 6, 7, and 8 are going to have a tremendous advantage in the playoff, especially if they play a Southern team. But give me the Crimson Tide. I'll go to the next one, Notre Dame, Boise State. I'm going to take Notre Dame to beat Boise State a second time this year. They play in the regular season this year at Notre Dame. I'll take Notre Dame to win that game again. Then I'll go Texas, Oregon. And I said I'd predict the road team to win. I'm going to take the Oregon Ducks to upset Texas in Austin. Give me Dante Moore. Give me Dan Lanning. That's a team that Dan Lanning does not have trouble with. A coach he doesn't have trouble with, a la Kalen DeBoer. So I think he'll handle Steve Sarkisian. Dante Moore will outplay Arch Manning. And give me the Ducks to advance to the next round. And then finally, the surprise team to make the postseason, and they're this high because of their resume. South Carolina, they'll have big wins for me this year. And I want to make this claim again, which I made this take earlier. I think this is a completely interchangeable spot, but I do not see a world where this does not happen. And it is one of those teams outside of that top tier in the SEC with elite quarterback play is making the playoff, and I think they'll have a good enough resume to be hosting a first-round playoff game. And for me, it's South Carolina and Lenore Sellers. But this could be interchanged with John Mateer in Oklahoma, DJ Lagway in Florida, or Garrett Nussmeier in LSU. I think that's completely interchangeable. I also think it's even possible for like Texas A&M to be in this case if Marcel Reed kind of really takes a big step this year. But I would leave him out of that take. For me, it's South Carolina. So, yeah, it's appalling a little bit, but I'm that high on Lenore Sellers. He'd be the first pick in the draft for me right now. What's around him? There's big questions, especially defensively. But you go back and watch Lenore's play last year. He won them many games last year. He won them the Clemson game, inarguably. And I think he'll win South Carolina some big games this year, especially at Ole Miss, at A&M. I have him winning that game. And then Cocktober, they have that huge advantage this year. In Cocktober, they host Oklahoma and Alabama, and I think they'll win both of those games. So give me the Gamecocks in the playoff and beating USC at home. I'll speak on USC. I have them making the playoff this year. I think Lincoln Riley finally gets it done and takes finally the steps he was supposed to originally take with the Trojans. I have them going 10-2 this year, 8-1 in conference play, just missing out on the conference championship game behind Penn State. They have big games this year that they're going to have to prove themselves. But I think right now, for me, it feels like it's laughable. It feels disrespectful for them to be in conversations where we are discussing whether or not they're going to beat Illinois. And they have put themselves in that conversation because they've been so bad with Lincoln Riley in the first few years, outside of the first year with Caleb Williams winning the Heisman. But I think they're finally going to get away from that notion, join those top teams in the Big Ten, and make the playoff this year, beating Illinois. I think they'll beat Michigan at home. My two losses for them are Notre Dame and Oregon, who are both playoff teams. To move on into the quarterfinals, we'll start in the top left again. Penn State, Crimson Tide. Give me the Nittany Lions. I think quarterback play is really the difference there. And I think Penn State showed last year that they are going to be successful in a playoff atmosphere. They won big games now. It was games over SMU and Boise State. I understand that, but I think they'll take down the Crimson Tide and advance to the semifinals. I think they've got the team and the makeup built for that. Ohio State, Notre Dame in the 4-5. I'm going to take... Give me Ohio State. I think the roster's too good there for them to lose that game. A rematch of last year's national championship game. Jeremiah Smith goes off again. Give me the Buckeyes to advance to the semifinals. In the other quarterfinal matchup, Clemson, Oregon. Give me the Tigers. Go Tigers. Go Clemson. Dabo Swinney gets it done. They win a playoff game this year after making the playoff last year and losing to Texas. I love the roster. I love the makeup. I love the the feeling in the building right now, the culture, and I think they'll beat Oregon in that quarterfinal game. Georgia, South Carolina, who do not play this year, but I do have them playing each other in the SEC championship. Rematch of the SEC championship. Give me the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm not going to pick Lenore Sellers to go that far. I'm not high enough on their team. As good as Lenore is, I don't think he can win enough big games to make it all the way to the semifinals of the college football playoff. But he can make it this far to the quarterfinals. Then we have a bunch of good matchups here. This one is Penn State, Ohio State for the third time
Yeah.
this season for me.
They're
I
1-1 at this point, right?
Yes, this would be the rubber match. Ohio State beating Penn State at home in the regular season. Then I have Penn State winning the Big Ten championship. I'm going to take Penn State again on the neutral field to beat Ohio State once again. Again, this is quarterback play for me. I have more faith in Drew Aller than I have faith in Julian Sayin, and I don't think that's a hot take for anyone right now. Julian Sayin at that point in the season would have proven something for them to be in the semifinals, and so I think Ohio State would be probably favored in that game, and probably rightfully so, but give me the Nittany Lions to advance to the CFP National Championship. And then the other one, Clemson, Georgia, rematch of last year's beatdown, as Sanders mentioned earlier, with the Georgia Bulldogs came out on top. Give me the Tigers. Clemson. Quarterback play again. Gunnar Stockton versus Kate Klubnik. First-round pick versus a guy who's probably not going to get drafted unless he really, really performs. Stetson Bennett had to win 2 national championships just to be a late-round pick at quarterback, and Gunnar Stockton's probably going to have to do the same. But he's young. He's a sophomore. He's got time to grow. But give me the Tigers. And then Penn State, Clemson.
That's the same. We had the same championship matchup.
I'm going to take the Nittany Lions as well. I'm going to take Penn State to win it. Kay Klubnik is my Heisman, so quarterback play isn't necessarily an argument I can make here. I just think Penn State has the bodies to outperform Clemson. I just don't think Clemson is there from a physicality perspective, which would give them trouble in a game like Georgia or Oregon. But I think they've got better quarterback play there. Penn State, with Drew Aller, I think it's almost an equal quarterback play battle there. So give me Penn State and the Nittany Lions winning it all. Monkey off their back. James Franklin finally gets it done. He can win the big game. And then they can go into next year and go 9-3 because their entire team leaves.